Total depth is 30,
So that's the water running in there.
35.
Yeah, it's about 35 feet to the bottom. And the water we hit was probably anywhere from 15 on,
Yeah.
16, 17 feet. And it's probably running in a gallon or two a minute. Once it's got that full, there'll be a heck of a storage capacity in there for you. So then you can put a decent pump in there and just kind of use it on demand whenever you want it.
So like 1 or 2 per minute you'd estimate filling back in?
I would imagine it's the way it's running. And then, see, we'll cap this thing, and we're going to run a 6-inch PVC pipe up. And then that way you can run a pitless adapter below grade if you want to.
Okay.
And,
So water started at like 15 feet?
15 to 17, right?
15 to 17, and we got
sand seams in that area.
35 total?
Yep.
It's about 55 gallons per...
52.
52 gallons per foot?
Correct. That is correct. So if it made...
So like 800 gallons storage or so.
1,440 minutes in a day, so if it'll make a gallon a minute, it's not bad. Yeah, if you have 5... You could possibly, at the very best, have 1,000 gallons of storage capacity if it made 20 feet of water. You can't tell that until it's full. So that's the whole purpose of these big wells. They're good for slow recovery.
Yeah. Good.
And then when we get this PVC pipe in there, we're going to bentonite.
Okay.
Bentonite seal in it, and then do you have a bucket to where you can backfill this, fill this hole back up? If not, we can bring a skid loader back up, but
You got a bucket
we
for
can
the
knock
tractor.
some money off of the cost of this well if you can backfill this back up yourself.
Yeah.
And
we'll fill it.
I have no problem.
I can just dump it with a loader?
Yeah, you just have to be careful that this PVC pipe sits right.
Don't break it.
So it doesn't break or knock it over.
Okay.
But anyway, well,
Just fill around it even, you'll be fine.
We'll go ahead and cap it.
Okay.
Bentonite, and we'll be in good shape.
Good.
And then, you know, you can keep measuring its progress as the day goes on, and tomorrow morning, in 24 hours, it'll give you a good idea of how full it's going to be.
Is it 35 feet to the surface or from the casing?
From surface.
To the surface. So to measure it, just stick a rope down there and see when it touches water?
Just run it through, and you'll hear it hit
tie
water.
some nuts or something on it.
Yeah.
Just run it down until you hear it splash and make a mark in that. Check your time. Come back an hour later. Make a mark. Come back an hour later, and you'll slowly see what it's doing. And that's, you know, in this drought, if it's going to be making some water, it's a pretty nice deal. It probably won't do anything to get better once it starts raining again.
Right.
So it should be getting us like about a foot an hour or so.
That would be pretty decent, yeah. If you got a foot an hour until it's full, I'd be very tickled with that. It might do better than that, actually.
Yeah, okay, we'll measure that. Okay.
And then I'd just, you know, if you wanted to, I'd probably do a little dump some chlorine in it if you want to chlorinate it for the first use. And after that, I don't chlorinate. I haven't put chlorine in my well for good land a long time, probably 10 years.
You have any filters on yours? You run it straight from the well?
Yeah, it's clean. Once you get this one, get some age on it, and it gets all settled in, it'll be clean. And it takes a little while for a new well to get there. But I shot chlorinated mine to begin with, and got everything clean, got a good test, and I don't particularly care much for chemicals.
So you don't have anything like ozonate or chlorine in it, just plain straight well water?
Because, see, what can contaminate
Yeah.
is going through that sand, and so the only thing that's going to contaminate it is our hands.
And then, are you concerned about ag runoff?
Oh yeah, that's why you put this bentonite seal in.
But like from seeping in over a long time from farmers?
It could happen, but the sand has such filtration capabilities in this area. It hasn't proven and shown up in any well water that I know of, short of direct runoff into the well. But as far as migration, it's not. I haven't heard of any instances of that.
Did you ever get measurements to test for agricultural chemicals?
My well was tested for it.
Huh, so you never heard of that kind of runoff from far away?
I've not seen it in migration through the aquifers.
A
lot of these old wells are not sealed or capped very well. And now, if you go randomly to an old well somewhere with no lid on, and you test it, it'll be bad. it'll have a lot of bad stuff. in
Dead
it.
critters in
But as
it.
far as our sand migration our sand is good up in this country. I've not heard of any water that was unsafe.
Well, that should filter quite a bit of anything out.
Oh, it does. And like I say, I haven't done anything to my well in all those years, and it's just great. I mean,
So out of how many of the wells you put in have you tested for the ag runoff seeping from long distance?
oh, gee whiz, in the last 20 years, I'm sure that I could honestly say that customers, there's been at least 100 wells that I know of that have been tested sporadically around the country. I have a place in Kansas, western Kansas, that I like to have. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I like to have do
And
it. They
all of them were
test
clean?
A lot of stuff. I mean, Servitec, they test for, oh my gosh, there must be 50 different elements that they
I knew there was a
test,
bunch. I didn't know
all
how
kinds
many.
of
But
contaminants, and we'll have coliforms and things like that show up in wells, and a lot of times in this glacial drift, there will be debris buried from the ice age that causes coliform naturally. It's
Mhm.
naturally occurring. People get all bent out of shape and say that their well's bad, and I'm like, that's a natural occurring phenomenon also, so it's not like you can blame it solely on runoff.
Mm-hmm. All right.